Hello everyone, I'm Tommy with Studio Sense. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me a little bit today. I had the opportunity to go out of town for a little bit with my wife. It was actually an appointment of hers. So while she was taking care of business, I looked around at some department stores, stopped by a Marshall's, a Burke's, which I'd never been to before, and a Ross Dress for Less. So when we were done with our day, we traveled back home and there were a few packages from online discounters on my doorstep. So I grabbed those, I kind of threw them all together into this little bit of a mix and match everything fragrance haul, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So when we return, we're going to bust into some of these packages, see what the juice is like, that and more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Now normally what I do when I do an unboxing is I get on the other side of the camera so that I can show you close up and you can kind of see everything as if you were unboxing it yourself. Because most of these I've heard one or two good things about them, or I'd heard nothing at all, which always piques your curiosity, right? If you've never heard of a fragrance before, but there it is for $6, $7. So I grabbed it up and we're just gonna take a look at it on this side of the camera. I'm not gonna worry too much about getting you batch codes or anything like that. I'm just gonna show you the fragrance. We're gonna take it out of the box, spray it on, try it out, see if we like it, see if it might be something worthy. I mean, you never know. That's how you run into hidden gems like this. Most of these might even have performance issues or maybe not. So that's what we're here to find out. You're gonna find out the same time I do. So let's go ahead and jump into these. First off, we're gonna take a look at a Cuba fragrance. This is called Prestige Classic. I think if you go look up the notes, you're gonna find that it's just called Prestige. When they produce more, they just call it Prestige Classic from the original fragrance. This is probably a 2019 printing or release or batch, so we're not gonna, again, worry too much. As you can see, it's from Ross. It is $7.99. I think it's sealed, but this is metal, and I'm just gonna pull it right off, probably just like that. Ooh, like a sarcophagus. It's been sealed for centuries. It's trying to be like a Havana, like an expensive cigar, which usually comes in a box, or a cigar case like this. So I get that that's what the fragrance is trying to do, is trying to look like a cigar, but it ends up looking like the nacelle of a rocket ship, like an extra fuel cell, or I don't know, it looks like any number of things other than an actual cigar. There's that. These are an eau de toilette, and it's a really odd size. It's a 90 mil, so I guess we're missing 10 mil from being 100 mil. So I'll just show you kind of all of that. So see if you can see that there. Is you hold this middle part and you pull, and the whole thing is some kind of funky lid, right? So like a 19th century wig. Hello. So when the lid comes off, then it starts looking like a relatively normal bottle of fragrance. And you got your gold atomizer, and on top of the atomizer it says Cuba. Now I do know that this fragrance has been called the poor man's Paco Rabanne 1 million. I'm expecting a fragrance that, while not a direct clone of 1 million, to be at least inspired by 1 million. So we're looking at this to be kind of fruity, spicy, and rich, maybe even slightly dark and complex. And I don't know though that it will have the performance of Paco Rabanne's 1 million that it's famed for. Okay. I can tell you right now, that atomizer stinks. Look, it's like, it's like barely making it out of the, yeah, so that atomizer is really not something that's great. So if you do buy this, my recommendation, as you've already discovered, is that you can really lay it on heavy, because you're not going to get a lot out of one spray. Yeah, definitely an appropriate comparison to Paco Rabanne's 1 million. It's quite synthetic in the very top. It's very sweet and spicy. So you've got black currant, bergamot, lemon, and grapefruit coming off the top here, so it is fruity. In the mid, you've got lavender, rosemary, jasmine, and cardamom. In the base, you've got oak moss, vetiver, cedar, labdanum, and I believe ambroxan. They say ambergris, but trust me, for $7.99, there's no actual ambergris in here. Next up is a flanker from Cuba called the Cuba Prestige Black. This one, let's go ahead and check it out. I'm gonna show you the front there, very briefly the back, if you're interested. And if you're at all interested in the lot or the expiration, there you go. Gonna also show you that sticker on the very bottom. This one often gets compared to Davidoff's Cool Water because of the lavender in it. So some lavender infusion there, some jasmine. I think off the top we've got grapefruit, bergamot. In the mid we've got lichen, mate, and water jasmine. And in the base we've got precious woods, we've got musk, and a little bit of amber. Let's go ahead and check out Prestige Black. Take that off. Tell you what I'm going to end up doing is throwing those plastic parts away, just setting it on the shelf like that. Although I don't feel that I'm going to be grabbing for them quite a lot. So let's see if this atomizer, which also says Cuba on the top of it, is as crappy as the original. Yep. So they're using the same atomizer company, probably paying next to nothing. Wow. Okay, so this is very similar to Davidoff's Cool Water. It's nowhere near as refined as Cool Water. Cool Water has a more, just like the name implies, an aquatic sensibility about it. I'm not really getting anything aquatic out of this. This is extremely spicy and a little bit heavy, and I think that's because of the aroma chemicals in it, because it's cheap. Let's face it, it's cheap, so it's going to be synthetic. But as an alternative, if you want something that smells similar to Cool Water, but you can't afford Cool Water, which would be sad, this might be an alternative. And that's my thoughts on Cuba Prestige Black. Next up is a fragrance that I had heard absolutely nothing about, so I was interested in trying it out. I do like the name. It's called Real Madrid, and it has a stadium. So I have been to Madrid. I've been to several stadiums in Barcelona, Madrid. Spain is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. If you ever get an opportunity to visit and you've never been, please do go. You will love it. The people are wonderful, the land is beautiful, architecture is amazing. And so let's go ahead and get our noses in this. This has as top notes orange and mandarin, so it's going to be really orangey, fruity in the top. In the mid, it's got honey, pomelo, it's got mint, it's got rose and violet, so it's going to be very floral and slightly sweet. And in the base, white woods, amber, and patchouli, so going to be warm and also sweet in the base. So I'm expecting a very fruity, citrusy, somewhat floral, slightly sweet, spring and summertime fragrance. As you can see, there's some kind of original seal on the very side of the box. I don't know what that's all about. I guess the official Real Madrid fragrance on the side. It's got like the Real Madrid logo on both sides actually. And then you've got the stadium on the back and then the Real Madrid logo on the front. Let's go ahead and take that bottle out. It is a 100 ml bottle, but for some reason the box is much larger than the bottle. This is actually scooted to the side in the box. So as you can see, you've got a nice silver cap there. Got kind of a matte finish on the white bottle itself. It says in really cheap looking font on the front, it's got a logo and then it says Real Madrid Eau de Toilette. Looks to me like Century Gothic font, which is just your basic on every PC. Probably threw it together and said, hey, that looks great, let's run with it. But we're not super concerned about presentation. There's the sticker on the bottom. Let's go ahead and pop that cap off. I'm curious about this. If it's fruity, fresh, citrusy, that's always a positive in my book. I think the world can always use more spring and summer fragrances as long as they're not super derivative and super low quality. Now that's what I call an atomizer. It seems to be like a super mist, like a really fine mist. One thing about eau de toilette, a lot of people have a misconception that eau de parfum, because the concentration of oils is higher, that it's going to be a stronger or more projecting fragrance. That's not always the case. Aroma chemicals are extremely strong. It doesn't matter what concentration of oils are, and they often project better. Because think about it, the heavier the oils, the more the oil sits on the skin instead of dissipating or evaporating. That dissipation or evaporation process is what gives you projection. If you like Invictus Aqua, you'll probably like Real Madrid. It definitely got kind of an Invictus Aqua vibe about it. A little bit of that bubble gummy, a little bit of that sweetness, but the floral and the fruits actually merge to make almost like an aquatic or aqua vibe or note to this. So it is a lot more pleasant the more that it's drying down. It's really cloying and synthetic in the open, but once it starts to drying off a little bit, it's a lot more pleasant. So this would be a decent spring and summer fragrance alternative for your standard blue fare if you like floral notes and if you like fruits mixed with floral with a little bit of slightly bubblegummy vibe to it, like an Invictus Aqua that is also aquatic, then you'll probably like Real Madrid. Next up is another fragrance that I grabbed at Ross, and this one came out in 2014. It is from Lacoste. It is called Lacoste Live. It is an eau de parfum, Lacoste Live Pour Homme. This one is an interesting kind of concept fragrance. When I get it out of the box, you'll see what I'm talking about, the actual glass cube that it is designed in. So this is a 40 ml bottle right there in big bold lettering. I paid 20 bucks for it. Typically you can get a 100 ml bottle for that price or less. So I don't recommend that you do what I did, but I did it for funsies again and for you, so you wouldn't have to. Of course, you got the typical alligator Lacoste logo there. You've got Lacoste Live on the front in red and white. And then on the very bottom, you've got it actually does have the batch code there, plus your SKUs and all that stuff if you're interested in that. So let's go ahead and get that open. As you can see, it's got kind of like a plastic to hold it in. If you move that down, then you've got your glass cube and you can pull that right out. Now this is interesting. I read about it, like one of the things that I read about this is that you've got red and you've got white and then you've got this dark blue cube. It's supposedly representing the percentage of raw materials that went into making this, like red 32, blue 11%, yada yada. So, okay. That's cool, kind of a conceptual idea. This was released in conjunction with the L1212 as kind of the eponymous add-on to the clothing line, the Lacoste clothing line, or what I say, adult Garanimals, because that's what it looks like. So the bottle is kind of cool, but let's go ahead and check out that juice. Now this one in the top has lime, and then in the mid you've got green leaves and some aquatic notes, so it's going to be kind of an aquatic in nature, a watery fragrance. Kind of an aquatic fragrance, but there's a little bit of a twist in here. You've got guaiac wood in the base, you've got iris, and then you've got a surprise licorice note. So the licorice note was intended to give this fragrance a little bit of twist because normally you don't have licorice in an aquatic fragrance. So I'm a big fan of star anise, anise seed, and licorice. I do like that kind of all white and then red on the atomizer's aperture there. What is it with cheap atomizers? All of these have really cheap atomizers. They don't spray much juice at all. I guess when you're making a cheap fragrance, you don't want to go all in. I like this. Okay, so very, very pleasant, very pleasant. As it turns out, lime is a fantastic note in an aquatic fragrance. So what does it do? It buoys the aqua or aquatic notes in this. Aquatic notes are typically like calypsone or some kind of, water molecule aroma chemical that represents water, a cool, watery vibe. So with that mixed with the lime, it's a very, very like beach-like aquatic. And then you layer in some woods in the base. So the iris in this is very light, but I do like it's not prominent. Maybe it'll be more prominent in the dry down, but in the open, iris isn't super prominent. However, the licorice note is definitely prominent in this. The licorice in this kind of adds a rich tenacity to the vibe. So you've got an aquatic, a limey aquatic fragrance with the twist of a licorice note in here. So it gives it a kind of a playful vibe. Yeah, so this might be fun to actually wear when you're gonna go hang out at a pub with your friends, or you're gonna watch a game, or you're just going to do something, run some errands, or something that you want to be like light, feel free. Definitely has a youthful vibe. It's not this isn't a mature man's fragrance. This has definitely got a youthful vibe to it. Anyone 30, 35 and above might not be interested in wearing this unless you just like lime, and a nice alternative again to the spring and summer blue fragrance mix. Might mix it up a little bit. Definitely very casual. Next up is a fragrance that I've been wanting to get for a very long time, but I just never found the time to order it or to buy it, and that is Pinot Silvestre Original. Pinot Silvestre. I feel like I'm saying Sylvester Stallone. Now the reason that I got this is a 125 ml bottle. I got it from fragrancex.net, and they were offering a small miniature version of it as a travel size. You can see that. It's like a mini pine cone. I think it's kind of cute, kind of cool. So something that you can take with you, like a little decant version. So we're gonna bust into this and see what we think. I've always liked green, like deeply green foresty fragrances or herbaceous, and this promises to be similar to that. So let's go ahead and get in there, get that off there. This might be fun to get into. Well, there's the box. I like it. It's like green foil with a forest, like a shadowy forest background, which is kind of cool. Created in the 50s from a blend of 12 natural essential oils, Pinot Silvestre is still being made in Venice with the same dedication, following the most rigorous methods to meet the strong, irresistible need for nature inherent in every one of us. So this is an eau de toilette, of course. If you're at all interested in the batch, there's that batch information. There we go. Now that's an atomizer. I do like it. And again, I'm used to being around essential oils and to definitely smell that astringent, almost medicinal / herbaceous evidence of essential oils in this. So in the top, you've got bergamot, lemon, bitter orange. You've got lavender, French lavender, clove, juniper, berry, thyme, clary sage, and in the base, amber, musk, cedarwood, and sandalwood. So there's quite a bit making this up, but it's a pretty linear fragrance. So the pine essence of this, which is primarily coming from the mix of those heavier, denser, darker spices in this, including juniper berry, that's where you get that pine essence. I do like it, but I would struggle with where and when I would exactly wear this. It's not going to be a winter fragrance, so obviously the season you're going to wear this is going to be spring and summertime. I don't know where I would wear this where it's not going to be, I don't think that, I wouldn't call this a compliment getter. This is going to be something that you wear just specifically because you like that smell and you like that fragrance. This is something you wear for yourself. This is not something that you wear for someone else. They did a good job of using those fragrances to come up with like a very green, piney, scented fragrance. So that's Pinot Silvestre. If you've never tried it, it's a very interesting fragrance. The designer house Azzaro often likes to do things in threes. So they have a trilogy of fragrance like the Solarissimo line, and they released a trilogy of fragrances meant to reference the beach and the sunshine and summer weather. And that was like sea, fun, and shine. When I picked this up at Ross, they only had shine, or I would have gotten sea and fun. So I can't attest as to what those are like, but let's go ahead and get into this. And I have a feeling it's going to be a juicy spring and summer aquatic fragrance. So now, Azzaro typically puts out some really good stuff. They're one of the consistent designer houses that has consistently good quality. That's what I've come to expect from them. As you can see, the box is made up of a simple silhouette of people look like they're trying to have fun on a beach or hiking maybe. So you've got that Azzaro Shine. This is an eau de toilette, 100 ml bottle. Show you the bottom there. And of course the A for Azzaro. Show you that, Azzaro Shine. It's very simplistic, but I do like that. I do like the look. I like the bottle, it's very heavy, feels really good in your hand. Nice cap, probably a nice atomizer. Azzaro always has really good atomizers. If you're interested in batch information, show you the sticker on the bottom. Hopefully you can catch a glimpse of that. Now the most obvious is that shine is referencing the sun. Sun is referencing outside, which is ozonic and airy. There's not a ton of notes in this, but it has an actual sand note, or a note that's representing sand, which is probably like a resinous aroma chemical. You've got bergamot in the top, in the mid you've got sand note and lavender, and in the base you've got cedar and the ever popular ambroxan. So this is going to be a youthful vibing fragrance for spring and summer. Yeah. This is an atomizer. Shoots out for like 1.5 feet and a bunch of spray. So, Azzaro Shine is, if you were to take Davidoff cool water and throw some ambroxan in it, it's probably what it'd be like. Not quite as rich. It's, cool water has a little bit more of a tapestry, old school feel to it, and it's a little bit richer and actually more aquatic. This is not quite as aquatic as that. So this has a very light, airy feel to it. It's very bright though. I do like the, I mean, you do think of sunshine when you smell this. That's pretty brilliant. So they were successful in associating the name with the fragrance, which is always the attempt. Probably gonna dry down a little bit darker, a little bit richer. So you're gonna have decent projection, probably okay, good, okay to good longevity, I would imagine. But it's a nice, bright, airy lavender fragrance. So if you like lavender, and if you like aquatic lavender fragrances similar to cool water, you'll probably like Azzaro Shine. This was $16.99 for the 100 ml bottle. Next up is a fragrance that is old school. This fragrance came out in 1991 from the nose of Christian Mathieu. It's kind of a barbershop aromatic fougere for men, and it is Kenzo Pour Homme Eau de Toilette. Now you can't really see it, but this looks like maybe a black bottle, but it is just really deep, dark navy blue. I can actually see the light through it. Beautiful bottle, beautiful presentation. I really, really like the presentation. Again, you may not be able to see it. Now, as you can see, this one is a tester, which is why it's outside of the box. This actually came, and I apologize, I don't still have the box. I should have kept it. It was just a brown cardboard box, like an actual box that you would ship something in, And so I just took it out and threw it away. However, first impression right here. So you've got in the top, you've got lemon, you've got green notes, you've got fruity note, you've got bergamot, and you've got the spiced clary sage. In the mid, you've got jasmine, you've got ozone, lily of the valley, peach, juniper, and rose. In the base, you've got cedar, moss, musk, ambroxan, and sandalwood. That's a lot of fragrant notes to make a fragrance. So you can see that it fits the fern or fougere genre, and it's going to be very old school with a lot of those deep fixatives that are in there. So it's going to be kind of old school probably, and kind of semi barbershop. It's a really old fragrance, 1991, to still be in production. That says a lot. But nobody's talking about Kenzo Pour Homme, which is why I wanted to grab it up. I'm always curious about fragrances that have been out for a long time that are still in production. There's a reason for that. Wow, this actually kind of reminds me of an Issey Miyake. It has a Nui de Si feeling about it, although again, a little bit on the barbershop side, but not super barbershop. This doesn't smell medicinal or astringent. It smells kind of herbaceous along the artisan pure side from John Varvatos, similar to that, only if you added more, if the oil concentration was higher and it was deeper, darker, and a little bit richer. That's where Kenzo Pour Homme falls in. I really like it. This is almost along the lines of an Azzaro Pour Homme, like the original, the OG. It's very herbaceous. So if you like slightly barbershop fragrances that are extremely herbaceous, and yet there is a blue quality about this. It's almost like a dark or dank or waterlogged, like a waterlogged log. So like wet wood. Dry down is going to be interesting because some of those notes are going to richen up and liven up. This has good projection, at least off a tester strip. I'm not going to spray any of these on skin because there's too many. But I would imagine the projection for this is good and the longevity is going to be really good. If I didn't show you, here is the sticker on the bottom. So let's bust into the Kenzo Homme Eau de Parfum. So as you can see, outside of the box, you got Kenzo, you got some information along the bottom there. I'll show you. And then nothing really, but just a wrap around of the graphic on the sides. So the bottle is quite different, which I always like a good gradient. So you've got clear all the way up to blue, and then of course the cap is exactly the same as the Eau de Toilette. So really, really nice. I like that presentation. I'll show you that. Gradient is awesome. So the top there, and then show you the batch code sticker if you're interested in. Let's give this one a shot. Oh, wow. Kenzo Homme, the Eau de Parfum, which is not at all like Kenzo Pour Homme, the Eau de Toilette. It was inspired by, meaning it was inspired by, but it doesn't have the exact duplicate of notes. In the top, you've got citruses, you've got a mint note in there, and you have cardamom. Heart notes include sage, you've got marine accords and some other spices. And then in the base, vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, and some vanilla. So I will say the spray is awesome. This is exactly what an atomizer should be. I like the bottle. This is what a presentation should be. And I can tell you right now, without even smelling the atomizer, that I like this fragrance. Wow, wow. Okay, wow. Okay, so this has almost got like a deep mango / peach vibe to it. It's almost like digging into the meat of a tropical fruit, but it is slightly sweet, very dark, slightly resinous, but very alluring. Now this is more along the lines of an aquatic / date night fragrance. This is definitely something you can rock out casually in spring and summer, but night times, I think women would absolutely go crazy about this. This also has a slight bubblegummy vibe to it, so more Invictus Aqua the more that it dries down. So there's definitely an Invictus Aqua vibe to it, but it's darker than that. Go Invictus Aqua ×3 into the deep blue sea, whatever the case may be, according to the gradient. So very, very aquatic, very marine. It's got a little bit of salty too, kind of like Bulgari Aqua Atlantique does. I really like this. So if you were to ask me which would I go for, the Kenzo Pour Homme Eau de Toilette or Kenzo Homme, inspired by the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, this every single time. This I'm actually looking forward to wearing, to trying out and wearing on skin. I think it's going to be great. Very impressed with this fragrance. That's it, guys, for my fragrance haul. We did 2 Cuba. We got Cuba Black Prestige and Cuba Classic Prestige. Paco Rabanne 1 Million, Smell Alike, and Cool Water, Smell Alike. Very synthetic, slightly sweet, definitely okay for the price. For the younger man, might be something good alternative if you are lacking in the funds department, which who isn't these days. So those are quick grabs for you. Real Madrid is a nice summery spring and summer fragrance, slightly herbaceous, a little bit like Invictus Aqua with a little bit of bubblegum in there. It's drying down really nice and fruity as an alternative to your blue fragrance. You got Pinot Silvestre there with a really dark, meaty, pine scented fragrance that I'm not sure where to wear, but it is an interesting, slightly challenging alternative. You got Azaru Shine, which is an aquatic, bright lavender fragrance for spring and summer, casual wear. Finally, the 1991 release Kenzo Pour Homme Eau de Toilette, slightly barbershop, very pleasant, kind of an old school feel, but my favorite Kenzo Homme Eau de Parfum, very much like Invictus Aqua, only richer, deeper, darker, more complex, and infinitely more alluring, and I'm looking more forward to trying that out on skin. Both of these fragrances were well under 30 bucks, super cheap. All of these fragrances were very inexpensive. If you're thinking about picking them up, you might want to check out either Ross Dress for Less, Marshall's, Dillard's, any of the rack stores out there, TJ Maxx. You'll definitely find them sitting on shelves at some point if you check regularly. That's it for my fragrance haul for funsies. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my channel. And thanks so much, as always, for your continued support. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you next time.